Welcome along to the second weekend of FIA Formula E. It's the third round of the championship. 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. And now we're racing in Santiago. It's a very different circuit to what we saw last year. We've got a slow starter at the back of the field. Yellow flags are flying there. Mitch Evans holds on, but here comes Pascal Wehrlein down the inside to try and take second position ahead of Maxi Günther. They all safely make their way through the first turn, trying to see who the slow starter was. It was Jerome D'Ambrosio at the tail of the field, who had reliability issues with his car in qualifying, and now as at the tail of the field behind Marc Winhar. Mortara moves up ahead of teammate Massa for 5th position as Robin Freins drops down to 19th spot in his Virgin. Not a very good starting position from Freins, and he's going backwards as well.
Nice.
It's a very hot day here in Santiago in Chile, and therefore battery temperature is going to be incredibly important. Alexander Sims, our championship leader, trying to go around the outside of Andrea Lotterer for 14th position. I think that might happen. He's got Daniel Abt, though, ahead of him. He's got the inside line coming into the first of the hairpins, and I think he should make it through. 4 wide and contact. And I think that was Da Costa who got hit in the tail of his car. Neil Jarni is also involved in that one. Jarni dropping down to the tail of the field. Lotterer is involved too. Collado was delayed. Marquin Hahn now at the very tail of the field. And it's Jarni who goes into the pits for Porsche. Such an amazing first weekend for the team in Saudi Arabia, but already looks like a retirement for Neil Jarni. It's his 5th weekend in Formula E. He did a couple of rounds last season, if you remember, for Dragon. But now, as a full works driver for Porsche, his teammate Andrea Lotterer in 13th position. Because of that battery temperature issue that they have here in Santiago, expect them to use the attack zone early. It's less efficient when the battery is hotter, and the battery gets hotter as it becomes more empty. So they will try and use that attack zone early on in the race, so they can take full advantage of it. Of course, if we have safety cars or anything like that, it will compromise. Different layout this year, and Alexander Sims gets demoted 1 position by Antonio Felix da Costa. Andrea Lotterer trying to go around the outside of the both of them, and again through the last hairpin, a little bit of contact between the two. Lotterer still hanging out on the outside line. Sims is going to hold on. This is for 13th position, by the way, so a long way down the field. Good opportunities for overtaking into the first turn. Newly profiled for... Oh, and a bit of contact. Lotterer just drives into the tail of Sims. Opens the door for himself. Sims is going to be on the inside line here and muscles his way past. Oh, we've got Neil Jarni on the inside line. So there was a lot of pushing there from Alexander Sims. Doesn't usually get very physical, but he had to do so just to clear the Porsche of Neil Jarni, and Lotterer was on the outside of him. And Muller also taking advantage in the Jaguar. Nico Muller up to 15th position.
Great job.
Evans leads, Wehrlein 2nd, Günther 3rd, Turvey, Mortara and Massa, 2 Venturis in the top 6. Good effort from them for the moment. Then Van Dorn in 7th, very high in the championship after a great weekend for Mercedes in their debut weekend. Buemi gets demoted down to 9th position. I was saying that the first 2 corners have changed. In fact, the whole of the start-finishing line and the last 2 hairpins have changed since last year. The hairpins go the opposite direction because the pit lane is now on the opposite side of the track. And the start-finishing line from last year is the pit lane this year, and vice versa. And it has seemingly, so far, changed the way that that part of the circuit is driven and allowed more overtaking. Attack zone is on the outside of turn 3. That will soon be open, coming up to 40 minutes remaining, plus 1 lap, remember. 45 minutes is the full race distance, plus a single lap. And they've also got rid of the chicane, at the back of the circuit, so it's a much faster approach around the tail end of the track, opening up the opportunity for lifting and coasting coming into the final 2 corners, and therefore also opening up the opportunity for overtaking. Evans has got a good lead at the moment. Wehrlein managed to muscle his way up into 2nd position past Günther. And then Ollie Turvey in 4th position in the Neo, running very, very well early on. And a massive surprise to have Turvey in the top 6 shootout, the Super Pole session. He ended up qualifying up in 5th position, and now he is 4th. And already we've got attack zones being visited by Brendan Hartley down in 17th, D'Ambrosio 20th, Robin Frines 23rd for Virgin. Remember, Sam Bird also well up in the field in the championship after those 2 races in Saudi Arabia. Bird right now, though, is only 14th. He's just gone into attack zone, as has Ollie Rowland in 16th. But by doing so, Bird loses a spot to Nico Müller. So you are losing a little bit going into the attack zone, but then you have 12.5% more power for 4 minutes. So you should easily be able to get that back. Lots of shuffling going on as Nico Müller gets deposed by Bird for 13th. And Alexander Sims drops and drops and drops. Sims, our championship leader, could be out of this one. He's 21st position. And I think he may have stopped on track. Oh, that's a real disappointment for Alexander Sims. Not good for him, not good for BMW, although at the moment they've got their second driver in 3rd position. And Andrea Lotterer also down in 22nd spot. So a legacy perhaps of the contact between those 2 drivers. D'Ambrosio start with the fastest lap of the race, down in 18th position. Brendan Hartley's moved up a spot to 16th. Rowland is 15th. Müller without the attack zone activation so far in 14th. And then Bird and Apt also with attack mode activated right now. Lucas Di Grassi goes into the attack zone, loses a spot to Jerome D'Ambrosio. Di Grassi only 18th position. And both Audis at the moment outside the points scoring spots.
You okay? Hairpin turn ahead. Be careful.
And race control about to... Oh, we got contact! Jean-Eric Verne, that is, with Stoffel Vandoorne on the outside of him being muscled. And we go full course yellow. So we can clear Alexander Sims's car just as Vandoorne and Verne unstick themselves. A bit of contact through the first of the 2 hairpins. And now we can calm down. Good gaps between Evans and Wehrlein. And then Turvey in 4th. And that's going to be a very, very quick full course yellow. Race control about to start the cars again. Watch out for Maxi Gunter under pressure from Ollie Turvey. And now we go racing again further back. Lots of defensive work going on from Nick de Vries on Antonio Felix da Costa. The 2 DS de Cheetahs and the 2 Mercedes fighting just on the tail of the points at the moment. And da Costa tried to squeeze de Vries into the barrier at turn 3. And he goes all the way around the outside.
Defend our position.
Verne and Vandoorne as well. So it's Verne, da Costa, Vandoorne, de Vries now. The 2 Mercedes losing out to the 2 DS de Cheetahs.
Watch out.
And Buemi just ahead of them in 7th spot. That was really frenetic stuff as some of the attack zone activations wear off for the first time. Daniel Apt moving up into 11th position down the inside of Vandoorne, then de Vries, but then gets squeezed and loses that spot once more. And actually, Sam Bird is in there too. And oh, he gets tagged. He gets tagged from Ollie Rowland. And Bird spins around and delays Nico Müller. So Bird and Müller drop to 18th and 19th spot. Oh, disaster. An innocent bystander to a massive lunge from Ollie Rowland, and Rowland's nose goes flying on the start finishing straight. Evans now through the attack zone for the first time. Mortara as well. 1st and 5th position. Big mistake there from Ollie Rowland, but he's struggling with a lack of downforce on the front of his car. Rowland in 13th is going to be dropping down the field.
Hairpin turn ahead. Be careful.
Collado and Bird side by side, way out the points as Collado's just gone into the attack zone for the first time and has made it through. Bird does not have the extra power, so we'll settle for that. Just half a second separating Evans and Wehrlein at the front of the field. 8/10 to Gunter, then Turvey right on his tail. Massa, and look out for Mortara. He's got 4 minutes of attack zone. He's 6th position. And if you're wondering why Ollie Rowland is dropping down the field, he's got no front wing, perhaps also some steering or suspension damage. And Roland, I think, will be heading towards the pit lane very, very shortly. Just coming round onto the start finishing straight now. And actually, looking at the tail of the picture, he hasn't. That's a bit of a surprise. Massa goes into attack zone, doesn't lose any spots. His teammate has gone through though, so Mortara goes through into 5th. Massa does lose 1 spot, but stays ahead of Buemi, who is in 7th position. Then it's Verne, De Costa and Van Dorn, with De Vries just outside the top 10 point scoring positions right now. Oh, and Ollie Rowland, he must have some bodywork underneath the car, because not only does he not have a front end, the steering wheel looks all right, but he must have something underneath. Now smoking underneath his Nissan. And that friction will slow him down. I mean, he's already in 20th position. Frien's 1 lap down, having visited the pits in 21st. And Verne goes up ahead of De Costa and Buemi. Verne up into 7th position. Good move into one of the hairpins at the end of the lap. And here comes Mortara on Turvey into turn 1. Turvey without attack mode. And Mortara cruises past, and he's going to have Felipe Massa behind him pretty quickly.
Great job.
Wonder whether he'll go into the attack zone now. He does. So he gives the position to Felipe Massa. And both the two De Cheetahs behind go through as well. Don't think they lose positions. Mercedes did it the lap before. And so it's pretty much on as even, with Buemi the only person to really lose out. Buemi now down in 11th spot. So he's gone behind all of the De Cheetahs and all of the Mercedes. Lots of extra power being used right now. 33 minutes plus 1 lap still remaining. The second half of the field got their attack zone activated early on, and so they will be falling back. Apt is the first of those. Oh, there's Collado diving down the inside. Hartley with his attack mode still activated, so that's up to 14th for Collado. And he's in the second Jaguar. New to the championship this year, James Collado. Multiple WEC GT winner with Ferrari. And moving into the seat that Alex Lynn had last year, if you remember, or Nelson Piquet also at the start. Alex Lynn part of the team still. He's still the development driver. But they felt like Collado could do a better job. Mortara moves up into 3rd, ahead of Gunter. Onto the podium. Gunter, because Gunter went into attack zone. So Gunter's going to be able to counteract that. Mortara's time is about to be up for his extra power, whereas Gunter has got 4 minutes left. Felipe Massa looking to try and get round Maxi Gunter as well. But remember, Gunter has the attack mode. Massa doesn't. Massa still has a little bit left because he activated it after his teammate Mortara. But both of them will be looking to try and get past Eduardo Mortara ahead of them in 3rd position. The attack mode really well placed here in Santiago. It's working incredibly well. Remember, we don't do pit stops in Formula E anymore. Here comes Maxi Gunter into turn 1. An easy pass past Mortara. Now, you'd hope that Felipe Massa, as teammate to Mortara, would do the same thing. Massa's only got 1 minute left of attack mode as Wehrlein activates his attack mode for the first time. Does not lose a position.
You're doing a great job. Keep focused.
And that was a very nice, calculated move from Pascal Wehrlein. He's right in the mix of things with Maxi Gunter now. The two of them with the extra power, and they'll be able to drive away from Eduardo Mortara. Felipe Massa lining up his teammate. He's got to go around the outside. He's only got 10 seconds left of attack mode, so he's going to need to make this stick now. And he's still on the outside line. He's still on the outside line. He hasn't managed to do it. And he's only got 2 seconds left, so it's going to need to be a dive into the second to last hairpin. He's not close enough, and it doesn't happen for him. So Massa stays in 5th position. Ollie Turvey drops behind Verne and De Costa. De Vries and Van Dorn have swapped positions as well on that last couple of corners. Action absolutely everywhere.
Great job.
Now, actually, De Vries is having to defend. So Van Dorn is having to defend from Buemi because Buemi has that extra power, and he's managed to cover him off going through the first couple of corners, but could still be under pressure. Still 1 minute remaining on Buemi. Now, 30 seconds remaining on Buemi's power, so that will allow him round this back end of the circuit to have one more try on Van Dorn. Vern, De Coster and Turvey are also about to run out of their attack mode. And the front three have activated... Well, Evans has activated his second attack mode already. Half an hour still remaining of this race. So I said they were going to do it early. They really have done it early. It's also a bit of a defensive move on Pascal Wehrlein. But Wehrlein and Günther will have that extra power to be activated later on in the race. Evans will not.
You're currently leading the race. Keep up the pace.
So Buemi's run out and hasn't managed to get past Van Dorn. So should all calm down now for a few moments. Brendan Hartley down in 17th position has attack mode. And then Günther, Wehrlein and Evans are top three. And they are stretching their advantage over the two Venturis in 4th and 5th. A great showing from Venturi, who really, you know, especially a tail ender last year, really struggled to get into the points. And if you look at where they finished in Saudi Arabia, Mortara was a 7th and a 4th, so I suppose that wasn't too bad. And Felipe Massa was out of the points in 12th and 17th. So right now, an incredibly good performance from the Venturis. If you remember, their team manager is Susie Wolf, in charge of that. Venturi is an electric car manufacturer, albeit a very small one in Monaco. And now all of those attack modes have worn off, apart from the Jaguar of Mitch Evans at the front of the field. So it should calm down a little bit for the moment. The winners in Saudi Arabia for the first round, Sam Bird. And for the second round on the Sunday, Alexander Sims. Andrea Lotterer was on the podium on the Saturday with Stoffel Van Dorn, Mercedes and Porsche. And then on Sunday, it was the turn of Audi and Mercedes, with Lucas de Grassi and Stoffel Van Dorn. But just as we expect from Formula E, hardly any of those guys in the top contention are really in contention here. Lucas de Grassi down in 13th position. Stoffel Van Dorn is 10th, so just about picking up points right now. Sims is out of the race, and Sam Bird is in 18th spot. So, here comes Felipe Massa. Sorry, Van Dorn down the inside of Massa. Big block pass. Almost puts Massa into the wall. And that's allowed De Coster surely to get past, and his teammate Vern. That was an incredibly unhealthy overtake from Eduardo Mortara. Oli Turvey also losing a position to Sebastian Buemi. But what was the point in that? Mortara's just activated his attack zone. And Vern has too. So Vern is going past his teammate De Coster as well. But Mortara sent it so late and block pass, proper go-karting past that. A block pass on Felipe Massa. Massa just basically ended up in the wall. So Mortara now 4th, Vern now 5th, because he's got attack zone for the second time. De Coster and Massa don't. They've dropped to 6th and 7th. De Vries ahead of Van Dorn. They've all gone ahead of Turvey, who's dropped now to 11th spot. So as we expected from that Neo, as the race wears on, the efficiency of the Neo is just not as good as the other cars, and he cannot drive as fast to keep the numbers. They've all got pretty much the same amount of power. De Coster with 62% remaining, and Turvey with 58% remaining. So that is about a lap difference. But there's so much battling still going on. Brendan Hartley is about to lose his attack zone in 17th position. His teammate Nico Muller in 16th, just ahead. And then D'Ambrosio 15th, Collado 14th. De Grassi without the extra power in 13th position. His teammate Daniel Abt has just activated, so he's in 12th and looking to overtake Oli Turvey. And then it's Buemi in 10th, Van Dorn 9th, De Vries 8th, Massa 7th. De Coster goes into attack mode in 6th, but loses the position to Felipe Massa in doing so. And then it's Vern, Mortara and Günther in 3rd. Wehrlein and Evans without attack mode at the front of the field as Daniel Abt deposes Oli Turvey. Turvey actually going into attack mode. And Massa gets passed by De Coster. Massa without the attack mode. He's going to really be under pressure because he's going to lose a position also to De Vries pretty soon. And Massa's going to have to think very differently in terms of strategy now. And down the inside goes De Vries on Massa. Again, Massa getting squeezed to the wall. There's nothing he can do. He's got 12.5% less power than the guys ahead of him.
Watch out for the sharp turn
In
ahead.
10th position now, ahead of Buemi. Lots and lots of changes here in Santiago. Remember, one of the big talking points last year was also the tarmac breaking up. We don't have the same problem here because they did re-tarmac all of the proper tarmac areas with a better tarmac, and there's quite a lot of concrete areas still, those last 2 laps. And very, very low grip on that concrete area. We haven't really seen very much race control looking at any of these incidents. We've seen so many bits of contact. Remember, Sam Bird got spun around earlier on. Eduardo Mortaro has just put his teammate into the wall. And yet the race control haven't really seemingly investigated so far. Gunter right on the tail of Mitch Evans now with 24 minutes remaining. Gunter still has a minute's worth of attack zone, and he goes towards turn 1 around the outside. That's not going to work for him. There's going to be no space, and he has to slot in. Looks like a little bit of contact between the two of them. It allows at least Maxi Gunter to draw alongside Mitch Evans, but Evans had the inside line and protected it well. And that battling has put Pascal Wehrlein right into the mix of things. Gunter with just 25 seconds remaining of that extra power. He really needs to get it done now to get ahead of Mitch Evans. Coming down towards the penultimate sector of the lap. He's going to have to go to the outside line to go around the outside, squeezing Mitch Evans all the way to the wall. And that's a beautiful move from Maxi Gunter to take the lead of the race with just 5 seconds remaining of attack mode. He now goes super defensive into the first of the hairpins to cover himself off. And what a move from Maxi Gunter in the BMW. He had to do it there, and it was a beautiful out round the outside, squeeze him as close to the wall as possible. And now Gunter is going to have to preserve that car. Make sure it is getting as much cool energy as cool air as possible. Preserve energy, lift and coast, defend when you can. And remember, Mitch Evans doesn't have any more attack zone. I don't think any of them really have much more in terms of attack mode to play with.
Watch out for the sharp turn ahead.
And Evans is about 2%, it's about half a lap less power than the guys around him. And Pascal Wehrlein behind does have attack mode. He's still got 1 remaining. Wehrlein is still very much in contention here, but he can't activate it because he's got Mortara, Verne and Da Costa queuing up behind him. And if he did go into the attack zone, he'd lose 3 positions. Teammates side by side, Verne and Da Costa. 2 incredibly fast drivers. And Verne very much the team leader in that team, having been there and won the championship for them a couple of times. But he's getting real hassle from his Portuguese teammate, which was totally expected. And they are running line astern. They've swapped positions a couple of times already. It's been an absolutely frantic Santiago E-Prix. And remember, we go to Mexico next, a circuit very familiar to everybody. And not expecting any kind of changes. Ooh, looks like Verne has a loose front end. The fixture between the wing and the pod that goes over the wheel is loose and it's wobbling around. For the moment, not causing him any problems. And Marrakesh, another circuit that we know well. We normally go there a bit earlier in the year, December time, but we're going there in the 4th round of the championship, or the 5th round of the championship, sorry. And Sanya also another track we know, Rome another track we know, Paris also, and then comes the new circuits, Seoul and Jakarta. And London, a doubleheader to finish off the championship at the end of July. "20 minutes remaining of the Santiago E-Prix. Gunter leads Evans with Wehrlein in 3rd position. Wehrlein wanting attack mode, but just at the moment can't do it because he'll lose 3 positions and he'll lose a lot of track position to the cars behind. Degrassi is using his fan boost to go past Oliver Turvey for 12th position. So slowly making his way up through the field. And it's amazing when you look at some of the results of these races compared to where these drivers started. Someone like Degrassi, you know, right now you'd write him off for scoring any points, but by the end of the race, he could well be scoring decent points.
You're doing great. Stay calm. You can do this. Congratulations.
De Vries
you are leading the
in
race.
fan boost mode to try and get past Da Costa. No, that was defending from Massa, actually, because Massa has his second attack mode activated. Remember, he was losing positions, and see, he's lost a load of positions, track positions. He's now got a queue of cars ahead of him, and he's so far not made up any ground. That is why Pascal Wehrlein has not gone and activated his attack mode. He does need a bit of space behind him to do so, although now maybe he does. Massa down the inside of De Vries. Oh, locks up. Hasn't managed to make it stick and just keeps it out of the wall. And he's totally thrown away the opportunity to do so. Wehrlein activates his attack mode. And he's under pressure from Verne for that third position, but I think it's okay. I think he's managed to hold on to third. And Massa still trying to, now defending actually from Van Dorn, who's in 9th position. So he's got some serious attention from the Mercedes. And Massa is going to run out of attack zone without making up any ground whatsoever. Whereas Pascal Wehrlein now has a queue of cars behind him, Verne, Mortara and Da Costa. And he just about managed to activate the attack mode. Would have been a contact from Mortara on Verne there. But managed to keep the car facing in the right way. Now Wehrlein should be able to clear off. He has 4 minutes of extra power. And here comes Antonio Felix Da Costa on Eduardo Mortara. Mortara squeezes him. And they run side by side through turn 2. And that means De Vries might be able to sniff an opportunity here. They all run 3 wide into turn 3, but it doesn't stick for him. And back to line astern. And there is a lot of side by side, but not a lot of passing going on right now.
You're doing great.
Wehrlein 2.5 seconds back from Mitch Evans. Remember that. 17.5 minutes remaining, 2.5 back, 3 minutes of attack mode. Let's see how much faster he is in comparison to our top 2 and see how quickly he can climb the order. Sam Bird with attack mode activated, down in 18th position, making up no positions whatsoever, and it looks like it could be a pointless weekend for Virgin after those highs on the Saturday in Saudi Arabia. Although actually Robin Freins retired on Sunday. Both Virgins actually retired on Sunday.
Sharp turn coming up. Watch your speed.
That pod of Jean-Eric Verne does look a little bit vulnerable. It's not a problem at the moment, but if it does start rubbing on the wheel or getting stuck under the car, it could really slow him down. Degrassi still has attack mode remaining down in 12th position, so that's really positive for him. And in fact, he goes and activates it right now to attack Sebastian Buemi ahead of him.
You're doing great.
So Wehrlein now trying to stretch away from Jean-Eric Verne. But Mitch Evans is the target for Wehrlein. And actually, it's not making up that much ground at the moment. Verne, remember, only has 200 kilowatts of energy available to him. Wehrlein has 235. And at the moment, he's not stretching his advantage, and he's going to run out of that extra power soon, because he's down to 1 minute, and it'll be about 30 seconds very, very soon. Degrassi 3 seconds away from Sebastian Buemi, so he's not going to quickly move up any positions, down in 12th spot there.
Focus on the race. Watch out for
With
the sharp
15
turn
minutes
ahead.
remaining, it's all calm at the moment. Those attack zones having to be activated early on gave us a lot of frenetic action at the start of the race, but they wouldn't be able to do it now. It wouldn't have been as efficient, and I think you can see that from the way that Pascal Wehrlein and Lucas de Grassi are both struggling to really make it work. Oh, Jean-Eric Verne down the inside of Pascal Wehrlein there. It almost just looked as though Pascal Wehrlein had a massive lift and coast going into the penultimate turn. And Da Costa also on Mortara. Da Costa's got 3% more battery remaining and therefore can really attack. Mortara's going to lose another position to Nick de Vries. De Vries up to 6th now. And 2 corners and 2 positions lost for Eduardo Mortara. So this is now about cooling. This is now about these drivers who are struggling with battery temperature, trying to not use that throttle too much, to try and get some, to try and allow the battery and all the internals to cool down so they can be more efficient. So Wehrlein basically activated his attack zone too late, didn't get the efficiency from it, and then started to overheat. And that is why he really made up nothing. 2.8 the gap to Maxi Günther. I think we said it was 2.5 when he started his attack zone. So a lot of homework being done by all these teams at the simulators between races, and the homework said get the attack zones cleared early. Lucas de Grassi has not done that, and he's not moved up any positions. Wehrlein was in a kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, really, wasn't he? Because if he had activated any earlier, he'd have lost track position like Felipe Massa. Massa hasn't gained anything. He's now just got past his teammate Eduardo Mortara up to 7th position, but really not doing a massive amount of progress. And I wonder whether Venturi, the 2 cars, are actually struggling a little bit with battery temperatures as well. It's not one of the parameters that we can read. We know how much they've got left, but we can't necessarily tell how much they have, how much temperature they have. Van Dorn passes Mortara for 8th. De Grassi finally gets past Buemi for 11th position, but soon he's going to run out of his benefit. And actually, he is the biggest mover, up 11 positions from his very lowly start position. And De Grassi trying to get past Buemi. And now gets past Mortara. So De Grassi on a bit of a charge now. He's got his teammate ahead of him next. And De Grassi at least in the points. Oh, and Da Costa past Wehrlein for 4th position. And Buemi now past Eduardo Mortara as well. Mortara dropping like a stone here. And it's got to be to do with battery temperature. What a disappointment for Venturi to see that happening. Massa still okay, still in 7th position, but Mortara just simply struggling. And so hard to accept. Collado now cruises past Mortara. Mortara is not even trying to defend the position. He knows that he's got an issue. And obviously, if he can get the car to cool down, he then perhaps can take advantage. But the more heat that car has, what's this? What's this? Is Jean-Eric Verne with a massive amount of smoke trailing from the back of the car. That front wing has finally given up on him, and he's sitting in 3rd position, but he is smoking hugely. He drives the car into the wall to try and dislodge the front end. In fact, he's defending hugely now from his teammate, Antonio Felix da Costa, hoping that he can hold on to this 3rd position. But he needs a decent bit of contact with somebody to get this pod from stopping to rubbing against the wheel. If it rubs too much, it will be a puncture. And there's certainly friction there as well. He's still defending. He's still compromising Antonio Felix da Costa's race. This is appalling behaviour for teammates. Van Dorn on fan boost up the inside of Felipe Massa for 7th position. As Muller passes Mortara. And Hartley, Mortara must be going to pits, surely. It's just not working for him. Da Costa still stuck behind his teammate. Pascal Wehrlein's going to be up there soon, as is Nick de Vries. And around the outside, finally, Da Costa goes up into 3rd position. Now here comes Pascal Wehrlein around the outside as well. But what can Jev do? Oh, here De Vries goes up the inside. Jeff being absolutely bombarded. And all he needs is that pod to fly off. But he obviously feels like it's compromising him some way. I can't remember when that actually happened. It was earlier on in the race. I think it may have been contact with his teammate, wasn't it? So it doesn't come into the pits, drives past, and what's happening is, as he's picking up speed, the air is pushing that pod onto the wheel. It's okay when he's driving slowly, but it's just almost a downforce onto it. It's pushing it against the wheel at high speed. Apps trying to get past Felipe Massa on fan boost. Doesn't happen. And now his teammate Lucas de Grassi is trying to get past as well. Remember, fan boost is only 5 seconds of boost. Nowhere near as efficient or as beneficial as attack zone. And finally the pod falls off for Jean-Eric Vergne. He's down to 6th position, but now can he hold on? Or does he have suspension damage from doing so?
Great job.
D'Ambrosio, De Vries and Buemi, 5 seconds added to their finishing time for a technical issue. Could be overpowered during the attack mode, or spikes in the way that the power delivery. We see a lot of technical problems with that in Saudi Arabia as well. And we're already seeing quite a few drivers having that 5 seconds added to their time.
Doing a great job.
So, Jean-Eric Vergne having a look at the suspension now. No, looks okay. The front wing is still there, but it doesn't really do a lot. But the efficiency of the air over the wheels, now that wheel is more single-seater, like it's sticking out, and therefore create a lot more drag than if there was a pod over it. So Jean-Eric Vergne is going to be slower. But he is still picking up points in 6th position. Gunter leads Evans. They've got the same amount of energy. Da Costa's got about half a lap more energy than the two of them in 3rd position. Then Pascal Wehrlein, De Vries, and Vergne, of course, is using more energy now as well because he's having to push that car through the air. Mortara did eventually pit. Lotterer has pitted but come back out onto circuit. He's down in 22nd position, using this now as a test almost. Gunter leads by 2 seconds over Evans, and then 3 seconds to Da Costa. So it's really spaced out at the front of our field with 7.5 minutes remaining of this 3rd round of the championship. Vergne now heading to the pit lane. Vergne is coming into the pits to change the front end.
You're doing a great job.
Not sure why he needs to do that now.
Sharp turn coming up.
Is there damage to the front end of the car? He comes in. We didn't see any suspension damage. And he's not in a rush to go back out. So Jean-Eric Vergne pits and is out of the race. And that means of 3 races we've had so far, he's only picked up 4 points for the 8th position on Sunday in Saudi Arabia. But that's Formula E for you. He was in a similar position last year and still went on to win the championship. So apparently more damage than just the aerodynamic damage to the car. I'm surprised by that. It didn't look like it. The suspension looked in one piece. But anyway, Jean-Eric Vergne out of the race.
Watch out for the sharp
Gunter, Evans, Da Costa, Wehrlein, De Vries, Van Dorn, Massa, Apps de Grassi and Buemi, your point scorers right this second.
Keep focused on the race.
Evans under pressure from Antonio Felix Da Costa. The Jaguar looking so good early doors, great over 1 lap, but not got the pace at the end of this race. And that is again down to battery temperature. And Evans a big lift and coast going into the penultimate turn. Where is the Cheetah? He's gone all the way around the outside, easy peasy. There was a massive lift and coast, and I didn't even think that Evans had full power there. I think he was down to 196 kilowatts, and that will be because the battery not allowing him to get the full 200. So the average is 2.9 for Da Costa per lap. 3.9, 3.6 for Evans per lap. Interesting. Using a bit more, but then being able to regenerate some more as well. Da Costa then sets his sights on Maxi Günther. He has the most power out of those drivers. Da Costa with the most efficiency. We know that the DES, the cheetah car, is very good with efficiency.
Keep focused on the race.
And it seems for the moment with cooling as well.
Watch your speed.
And Evans was definitely struggling there. Da Costa pushing hard. Günther being told to follow the car's prompts. Follow how the car is telling you. If it gets too hot, back off more. If it gets too cold, it won't get too cold, but just play with the numbers. The driver has the numbers in front of him. He knows what temperature he has. He knows what usage he's got. They don't get that information back at the base. He has to tell them the number as he comes over the start-finishing line. So the strategy guys basically saying, Max, it's up to you, mate. And he now reports back to the team with those numbers, and they can then put that into the strategy. A little change of positions as James Collado up into the top 10 now in his Jaguar, ahead of Daniel Abt, who lost 2 positions there. And now Collado up to 9th, Massa dropping to 11th. So a good scrap going on for the point scoring positions. Degrassi, Collado, Abt now those last 3-point scorers, and Massa out of the points. Marco Inhar getting out the way in his Neo. Turvey still 13th, but that's no points for the moment for Ollie Turvey. And let's see if he can hang on and play it safe, and perhaps we'll have a few issues with energy at the end. There's 2 cars actually coming into the pits just now. I don't know exactly who they are. It's a wide shot. Wow, Da Costa has some serious pace right now. Less than a car's length between him and Maxi Günther at the head of the field, with 3 minutes and 25 plus 1 lap remaining. DS Techeetah is flying. Lots of energy management going on for team and driver. Lots of reporting back as to exactly the temperature, how much energy they got left. It's a bit tricky to know exactly how many laps we've got left with this time, depending on how fast or slow their laps are. Because with a lap with a big lift and coast, that lap can be 1 or 2 seconds slower, and suddenly that could mean a whole lap less or more of the race. Günther on the defensive coming into the concrete section at the end of the lap. Da Costa couldn't find a way through, but here comes Da Costa now down the inside of the hairpin. There's contact between the two of them, and he really forces his way through. I didn't think he really needed to do that, but Da Costa has managed to make it into the lead of the race, and DS Techeetah lead in Chile. Oh, now he's being told he needs to cool down the battery. That's Da Costa's team saying cool down the battery. So they've allowed him to attack, but now he needs to back out of it. And suddenly Maxi Günther will see a very slow DS Techeetah ahead of him. And he's going to have to defend massively. It was a very, very long way back lunge from Antonio Felix da Costa. I would be very surprised if the stewards don't look at that, but they seem to be sleeping today when it comes to track incidents. The technical guys have been on it to give all those technical penalties, but in terms of racing, that was proper touring car move. And now Da Costa is driving super slow with Maxi Günther trying to find a way past. It's right in the middle of the road coming into the concrete section. It's a slow, slow lap. And if they can go really slowly, we'll get 1 lap left. 2 laps left. If they finish this lap in the next couple of seconds, which they will, they're going to have 3 laps left. They haven't got that much power left. Only 6% for Da Costa, 6% for Günther. That's only 1.5 laps left at full race speed. Günther tried to find a way past down the inside of turn 1. Didn't happen for him. But we've still got 2 laps remaining, and we haven't got enough power. Certainly some of the guys further back haven't got enough power. We've got some serious energy conservation to do on these last 2 laps. This is going to be fascinating to see who actually finishes with power. Degrassi and Buemi clicked to 4%. That's a 1 lap. And there was only halfway through this lap.
Great job.
Massive, massive lift and coast at the end of that long back corner. Now, Gunter with a bit more power than Da Costa. He's got a bit more possibility. Da Costa defends. No way past. Evans has got the most power out of the top 3, but he's kind of faded. De Vries has only got 3% left, and he's not even crossed the line. So the drivers have done very well at the front of the field. They've got 4% left, which is what they need to finish this race. But I'd be concerned about De Vries for sure. I'd be concerned about the Audis as well. Gunter with slightly more energy than Da Costa on this final lap now.
Watch out for the
That means he can keep the throttle on for that little bit longer, at least draw up alongside. De Vries is going to be really struggling. The Mercedes are really struggling, 2%. Buemi also. Watch out for Daniel Abt in 9th position. He could well move up through the field with more battery. And Evans is really on course. Gunter round the outside into the penultimate turn. It's an easy move for him because Da Costa has to lift off. De Vries with less than 1% battery left. Wehrlein with 1% battery left. They've still got 2 or 3 corners to go. Gunter and Da Costa are safe. They're good. Evans is going to be good too. Maxi Gunter is going to come to the line, but there's going to be so many changes further back. You've got to watch what happens in 3rd position. De Vries up to 3rd position. How did that happen? De Vries has managed to get past Evans for 3rd, but he's going to have a 5-second time penalty, so he's going to lose that spot. Wehrlein goes into 4th. De Vries drops down to 5th position. Van Dorn in 6th has crossed the line. Buemi 7th crosses the line. But actually, Buemi has a penalty, so De Grassi goes up to 7th, Abt to 8th, 9th for Collado, and Buemi drops down to 10th with that penalty that he had. Massa missing out on points, as does Bird as well. Wow, wow, wow. Santiago delivering for a 2nd year in Park O'Higgins. A fantastic race. Next up, Mexico in the middle of February.